Midday in the desert of Central Australia, a dust devil, a whirlwind in miniature, races across the roasting land. It's so hot that a thermometer in the sun reached 140 degrees and then burst. Solid granite boulders blister and crack. Little moves in the oppressive heat, animal or human. The only creatures abroad are insects and reptiles, cold-blooded creatures that revel in the furnace-like temperatures. This is the land of the Aborigine, but it was not always his home. Scientists say that he arrived here some 10,000 years ago, but exactly where he came from is not certain. Some believe that he migrated from Java. Others claim he originated in Europe and is a relative of prehistoric man. Certainly, he's the most ancient branch of the human race still surviving. But if scientists are unsure, the Aborigine himself is certain of his origins. The tribesmen that live here know that they sprang from this mountain, Ayers Rock. This, you might say, is their Garden of Eden. The rock is vast, over 2 miles long and 1,000 feet high. And every crack, every scar on the rock has a meaning to the people of this land. For they believe that here, during the dream time, the creation period, when the world was flat and lifeless, giant half-human spirits rose from the ground to populate the earth. These pockmarks were once the camp of the ancestral rat people. Nearby, a gigantic detached pillar of rock represents the totem pole around which they danced. These deep pits were made by spears thrown in a titanic battle among the snake people, and this cave was once the home of the ancestral moles. The tribesmen decorated many of the rock walls with sacred ritual paintings, for the mountain, in fact, is a gigantic shrine, brooding over the desert, which starts at its feet and stretches for hundreds of miles in all directions, waterless, barren, and empty. Many white people have died out there in the desert, from heat, from thirst, from hunger. Only the Aboriginal knew how to survive, alone, unaided, year after year. But now, the desert is almost entirely deserted. The paintings that made the caves around the base of the rock glow with color have long since faded. The Aboriginal has gone elsewhere. A windmill, sucking water from 1,000 feet below ground to produce an unfailing oasis in the middle of the desert. This is the magnet that has drawn the Aboriginal away from his tribal grounds to congregate at missions, government settlements, and cattle stations. Here, families that were once nomadic build their flimsy shelters from bushes and branches, augmenting them with cloth and sheets of corrugated iron if they can find them. But the huts, created and approved by custom as suitable for a wandering way of life, are now sadly inadequate as permanent habitations. Many people seem lost in this new existence, but at this government station, there is work available to the men if they want it. Although the Aboriginal had never seen a horse until it was introduced by the white man, most are superb natural riders, and throughout the Northern Territory, their services as cattlemen are highly valued. Many of them are trained on government settlements like this one. In return for the work the men do, the government not only pays wages, but supplies free food and clothing for all, as every employer of Aboriginal labor is called upon to do by law. Rations of tea and sugar and flour are handed out every week. There's powdered milk for the children and fruit when it's obtainable. But though much is done to provide for the Aborigines' material needs, this is not enough. Many people will say that their roots lie in the land, but there can be few people to whom their native land means as much as it does to the Aboriginal. Even when they're on stations and settlements provided with abundant water and free food and clothing, the pull of the desert persists, and sometimes it becomes irresistible. Sometimes, without warning, whole families will just disappear from the station. They've gone walkabout, as they say in Pidgin. They've gone to live as their fathers and ancestors did, wandering naked in the desert.